Mr. Chairman, as we meet today, more than 1.2 million acres of land have fallen victim to wildfire so far this year. Committee Republicans have pleaded with leadership to take up legislation to endorse this crisis. Three of the bills on today's agenda double down on the failed strategy of locking up our lands. What's especially perplexing is that in a memo circulated by committee Democrats prior to this hearing, it was acknowledged that Congress must continue to consider and pass legislation that complements ongoing executive administrative efforts to address wildfire, such as those identified in the Forest Service's 10-year wildfire strategy. The memo says nothing about codifying roadless rules or locking up new lands in wilderness designations. We asked the Forest Service, and they found 161,000 acres of roadless areas were in high-risk fire sheds, and yet the Forest Service can't touch them because of onerous roadless designations. Take the Cameron Peak Fire, for example. This fire burned over 208,000 acres, the largest fire in Colorado history. 469 structures were destroyed, including 224 residences. Similarly, the East Troublesome Fire in Colorado destroyed 366 homes and 214 commercial structures. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of acres of wildlife habitat destroyed, degraded watersheds, poor air quality, and lost economic opportunity. What else do both of these fires have in common? They both burned extensively in roadless areas, making them harder to contain. These two fires burned a combined 136,000 acres of roadless areas, and the East Troublesome Fire even ignited in a roadless area. Recent research from the Colorado Forest Restoration Institute at Colorado State University has shown that roughly a third of roadless areas have burned in the last 3 decades, while less than 1/5 of the areas with roads experience fire. The same report also found that most of the large fires that have burned on national forest land in recent years began in roadless areas. Chairman Neguse, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter that report into our hearing record.
So approved.
What's more troubling to me is that instead of giving our wildland firefighters the tools and access they need to suppress fire, we're considering bills that will make it impossible for them to actually get to the fires they need to fight. This leads to the megafires we have seen in recent years, which sadly result in firefighter injuries and even death. The Roadless Area Conservation Act is the wrong bill at the wrong time, turning over 58 million acres of National Forest System lands into de facto wilderness will cause more catastrophic wildfires, period. Failing to meet this moment by providing our land management agencies with the tools they need to implement the 10-year strategy is not only a disservice to them, it's a disservice to every person in this country who's lost a home, a business, a loved one, or an entire community to catastrophic wildfire. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.